Thank you. Thank you very much.
You're welcome, attorney, and welcome to Sophie. All right, so to start, I'll ask. I actually have a lot of questions for you this afternoon, but to start, in simple terms, attorney, what is the Bawal Bastos law and what behaviors does it actually cover?
The Bawal Bastos law is a new law. Generally, it protects women in the spaces that they work, in public, in everywhere that they go. So basically, it's a law that will penalize other people for making sexist comments or touching inappropriately. And it also penalizes people who are not gender sensitive when they make jokes based on women's weaknesses or also against comments against the gay people and the gay community. Basically, that's it.
All right, and that being said, attorney, what's one example or an example that people often think is harmless, but it's already a violation?
As Filipinos, it's already customary for men to make jokes based on women being weaker as a sex, especially also towards jokes towards gay people. And they probably think that it's okay, but no, the law says it is not. So we should educate everyone, not only the men, but also both men and women, everybody to be aware of this law.
I definitely agree, and thank you so much for clarifying that, attorney. Right now, in a fast-paced workplaces like us, the BPO industry specifically, where people are casual and close, how do we draw the line between friendly jokes and harassment?
Inappropriate friendly jokes should be verbally expressed, especially in BPOs like Sophie. Women should not feel afraid to verbally say that no, it is not okay for you to do that. Because we should be empowered and we should not be afraid to speak out and know to other people that your boundaries are not being respected anymore. Yes, that like that.
Thank you so much for that, attorney. However, there could be instances wherein some employees may feel intimidated because what if someone that has given them the comment might be someone of higher position or supervisor? What advice should we be giving to these employees?
It can be challenging when the perpetrator has power over you like a supervisor, but there are ways like your institution has a human resource department, and I am guessing that you also investigate every complaint that is being submitted to your institution. So when something happens, I would suggest that the employee of this institution would record it in writing right away so that you will not forget what happened, what time, what day, and what was the circumstances around the incident. That way you can be reminded. And once you have it recorded in a piece of paper or your phone, like a notepad, I encourage everyone to submit a written complaint to your human resource department so that an investigation can be initialized. And aside from the HR, the law provides that women or everyone can go to the local police station and have it recorded as a blotter, or you can also go to the barangay hall and have it recorded there. DSWD, LGU, city, municipality. The law provides that you can report to these public governmental institutions, and it's a mandate that it should be investigated.
All right, thank you so much for that, attorney. Just to clarify on that, when you say we go to the police and send out our reports there, what are the example instances wherein we should already reach out to them?
The moment that you do not feel safe anymore, you do not feel comfortable with the touches that other people, despite of warning, they still are insistent. And the moment that you get, because this gender-based violation also happens online, some people will send you like pornographic pictures or videos sent as a kind of a joke, but it's already offensive. You can screenshot or say these messages and use it as an evidence when you report to the police.
All right. And with that, attorney, are chats, screenshots, or messages considered valid evidence when reporting harassment?
Of course, the Supreme Court has ruled that Facebook posts and personal messages or even texts are already considered as evidence that may be used in court.
How about, attorney, for instances wherein, say for example, somebody received a text message containing harassment, and then the identity of that person is not known or unknown? What advice would you give?
Still, I would advise them to pursue it, because even if the identity of the perpetrator is not known, we can file the case as a John Doe case.
Okay, thank you so much for clarifying that, attorney. Great. Have a next question. Great. So, does the law also apply in public spaces and online? What can someone do immediately if harassment happens, especially in social media?
Online, aside from this law, we also have the cyber libel law, and we can also pursue this person under this law if it falls. So I would advise the employees of Sophie to screenshot right away these messages so that you will have evidence, because some people, after they send the message, they tend to delete it. And once deleted, you can no longer retrieve these messages. So save it right away, print it out in a bond paper or whatever, so you can have evidence.
Okay, thank you so much. So, for example, if an employee would approach to the human resources, should the employee also go to the police station to file a complaint, or will it be the human resources department who will be initiating that?
It's up to the employee, but each person can directly go to the police and complain. The human resource person can also go directly and complain. Or you can do both, actually. If I was in the position of the victim, I would try to go to all the possible venues who can right away help me deal with the circumstances.
All right, and as our topic's already getting interesting, this time I'd like to check if our audience also has questions that they would like to ask Attorney Omoso. Anyone from the audience?
Hello, Attorney. Good afternoon.
Hi, Kian.
So when you said to like file a report or have it timestamped immediately, so in cases where the victim took some time to process or come forward about what happened to them, either out of fear or shock, or just when the realization came late, are there time limits for filing a complaint or report?
The law really does not give a time limit. You should right away when you realize that a violation was indeed happened to you, it would be prudent on your part to record it when and where it happened and still report it regardless if it was a late realization because the law does not give any limits. Yes.
Thank you so much, Attorney.
Thank you, Kian.
Thank you for that, Ian, and thank you as well, Atty, for answering the question. Anyone else from the team to ask questions? We have, yes, Miss Jean, right? We have Miss Jean Rose McCoy, our operations manager.
Thank you.
I'm Miss Jean.
I'm Curly. My question is, can we report for someone else? Like if the harassment didn't happen personally to us, but we've observed our colleague was harassed, and we think it's harassment, can we report on their behalf?
Yes, I think so because the law does not limit the reporting or the complainant should be the victim, especially the human resource people who are investigating the complaint. They can report it to the police. However, it would be very hard to pursue a case in court if the victim is hesitant to complain. But the answer is yes, you can report it.
Yeah, attorney. Yes. Most of the cases I know, victims are hesitant, yeah. Although they know it's happening, but they're just scared to speak up. So I'm also encouraging others to report if you observe this behavior or if you observe this done to someone else. Let's speak up for each other, support each other.
I agree. It's just a matter of being aware for ourselves and having the empowerment to be able to stand up and say, hey, this is not okay. I need to fight for myself. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the question, Ms. Jean, and for the very insightful message or answer, Attorney, right? Because definitely there would be some who might be hesitant to share it. So, but if you were a witness of that incident, right? It's important that as a community we support each other and help each other. Women empowerment, right? Especially women. All right, not just women, by the way. Everybody. Yes, we have a question for our HR manager, Ms. Chet.
So, I'd like to clarify a like, in behalf of the man here, because most of the time, when there's like harassment cases, especially with what we've experienced in the office, like it's mostly men towards women, right? So there are also instances when we've noticed that men are not aware that what they are doing is already harassment. So can you give us some examples of probably things that we as women should look out for na we are being harassed by the eye? Or that men should be aware na they shouldn't be doing because it's already considered harassment, because maybe for them it's just a normal thing because, based on our culture.
From my experience, most of the men think that it's just a joke, and they even say, I was just joking, don't be so mad at me. However, I think it would be best to verbally and in a nice way express yourself that this is boundary, just setting healthy boundaries so that also it will not turn into a heated argument. There's just a nice way of saying also. On the other hand, I think also like institutions like Sophie, because it's a big BPO, it will be prudent for employers to create awareness to all of the employees by having something like this, like a podcast or a 1 hour virtual seminar, gender sensitive training to the men, things like that. I think both government agencies and private sectors should work hand in hand in creating awareness on gender-based sensitive issues like this.
All right, well, thank you so much for that. Do we have any other questions? Yes, we have TL. Yes.
Hi, Atty.
Hello.
Good afternoon. So what protections are available to the complainant during the process?
Protection. Okay. How are victims protected? Okay. I think victims should be protected through both the management of the company by being confidentiality. I think that's a big issue on BPOs. Confidentiality, when you complain, we don't really expect the human resource department to tell everyone what's going on, right? But an investigation will be initiated and questions from other colleagues will probably be also asked. So, confidentiality, one, that is a protection, and the right not to be harassed, that is a human right, I think, is a general protection. Although the law itself does not really specify.
All right, thank you for that question, and thank you so much, Attorney, as well. Attorney, I have a question. Because when we say bastos, it could mean a lot of different ways that, could mean bastos. This does not only limit to sexual harassment. This only covers verbal harassment, right?
No, it also covers online harassment.
It also covers online harassment. So whatever form of harassment.
Yes.
Thank you so much for clarifying that. Say, for example, somebody posted something about something about one person online. Could that be considered an instance already if if the content of the post is, something that's negative, or if that falls under a different section?
Well, not everything that you post is a violation of the gender-based laws. It depends if that person got offended by that post and it did not make the victim feel respected. I think that is when the violation starts. But not everything that you post online is negative. It will depend upon the content. Yes.
That's thank you so much for clarifying that, because people may think that anything they feel is bastos could be reported, right? So thank you so much for clarifying that, Attorney. Right? Do we have any other questions?
Attorney,
Yes, Miss April.
what are the employer's obligations once a complaint is raised?
Or can a company be held liable for inaction or delayed action?
The answer is yes. The employer, like Sophie, should investigate and then file investigate and then do a warning. Well, this depends upon your internal rules. The harassment procedure that you have. So I think a first warning, oral, verbal, and then after that second written warning. So this will depend upon your own internal rules. But the answer is yes, an employer can be negligent in not investigating any complaint. Non-action is not an excuse because we are trying to cooperate with our laws, local laws, and especially this Bawal Bastos law. Employers are mandated to have an investigation team for all of the complaints.
And this is regardless if a police report has been done already. We
Yes.
should still comply to that and do investigation.
Yes.
Thank you very much. Any other questions from our audience before we wrap things up?
There's a question.
Oh, Nikki, yes.
Attorney,
Hi,
so my
Atty.
question is regarding Bawal Bastos. If per se, let's say the abuse is coming from a heterosexual female, is it still covered? And how far are we in terms of gender equality legislation?
Yes, it is still covered because the law does not specify if the offender is male or female. The law says all genders can be perpetrators of this law. And what was your second question again?
How far are we in terms of equality? Or
We are still very far. This law is just a baby. It's just new, so it's a new concept for everyone to digest and internalize until it becomes, a practice already. We're still very far, but we hope that by doing this kind of activities, we are educating the public and ourselves as well.
Thank you very much for that, Attorney.
Good afternoon, Attorney.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
My question is focuses on the protection of husbands. I recently got married
This is personal.
5 months, 6 months ago, 5 months. My wife loves to say, "Inantaklan actually ko," and there's an urge for me to tell her po na, please be considerate. Okay, there are also times na I'm also for her. Now, is there any protection for me to rebuttal mga claims sa akong wives? I think some of us can relate. Oh, wives tayo, wives. I'm planning to convert to Muslim. Kidding aside, that's it. That's my question, Attorney. Is there protection for husbands who are under the saya? Or is it, is the law on the women's side? I'm not sure if I'm making any sense.
You are correct. The law tends to favor women because they are I'm not going to say the weaker sex, because they need more protection because they're vulnerable. However, there are laws that also protect men. So if you got battered by your wife, for example, you can file a physical injuries case. There's a law for that. If your wife tries to murder you, you can file a homicide case. There's a law for that. But yes, there are a lot of gender-based laws like Republic Act 9262, like Bastos Law, and it tends to favor women because they are more vulnerable. That's the reason why.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob, for that interesting question, and thank you so much, Attorney, for clarifying that. Right? Do we have any other questions? Okay, I think I have one final question, Attorney. Say, for example, the woman filed a case against a boyfriend or partner, or will there be, if proven guilty, will there be a penalty for that person
Under this law,
under this law?
yes, there's a penalty, and it's different for first time. There's a first time, and it gets heavier for the second offense and the third offense. Usually, it's from, as far as I can remember, there is a imprisonment for, I think, 1 day, and the second time is 3 days, and then the third time is 10 days. You go to prison if found guilty, and there's also a fine. For the first time, I think it's 1,000. The second time is 3,000, and then the third time is 10. So it will depend.
Okay, thank you, Attorney. That's the last question for this afternoon, actually. Would you like to have like a concluding statement for everybody?
Okay, so for my last message, I would like to thank Sophie for inviting me over to do this podcast with you. It has always been my advocacy to empower women. And thank you again for all of those who are here today and asking questions.
Thank you very much to you as well, Attorney. We are very much honored to have you speak today or this afternoon in celebration of Women's Month. Because we were not only informed, we were reminded of our shared responsibility to uphold respect, protect dignity, and create a safer space for everyone, especially for women. Your words have truly strengthened the spirit of this Women's Month celebration.